Hello, 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 and welcome to this first meetup here at the Criteo in Palo Alto. We're very, very happy to have you today, and we have some very interesting presentations for you tonight. I'm not going to be doing any of those presentations, so you can relax. My name is Cedric. I'm the Director of Engineering for the Criteo Predictive Search product, and I'm just going to be the master of ceremony for us tonight. So I know that some people like me do too many speeches, so I'm going to be very short. And I'm just going to start by introducing our first speaker, Neil Thombre, who is working in the data analytics department here at Criteo, and he's going to talk to us about scalability and analytics at Criteo. Thank you.
First off, I wanted to extend a heartfelt welcome for coming to Criteo. I know it's a weekday. You guys all have jobs and the traffic and whatnot, so we really appreciate that you're here. Anybody who cannot hear me, raise your hands. Just kidding. My name is Neil Thombre. Everybody can see this. I'm going to get out of your way so we can look at the slides. I'm the staff dev lead, and I'm going to be giving a very short 10-minute lightning talk about scalability and analytics stack at Criteo. So obviously I'm part of the scalability and analytics team, and we're just going to tell you, everybody knows what Criteo is. It's an ad tech company. We deal with lots and lots of ad and even more amount of data. So we deal with a lot of data, and it's just been growing. So these are just a quick preview of what kind of data that we deal with. We serve about 5 billion ads every day, 200 plus billion events logged, like clicks, impressions, and whatnot. Close to 150 terabytes of data is ingested every day. And I'm going to come to the stack that we use pretty soon. And we have tens and trillions of records processed each day. So this is one of those obligatory slides that you see at every meetup. Lots and lots of numbers. So I'm just doing my part here. And the scalability and analytics stack that we have at Criteo. So we have a big Hadoop shop. I think we have probably the largest Hadoop shop in the whole of Europe. If I'm not mistaken, and we have about 150 plus terabytes, it's close to around 200 terabytes. The slide is a little bit old. That's ingested every day. Once the data is ingested into Hadoop, we run all our jobs for the analytics and billing and sales attribution and whatnot by running scalding and cascading jobs on the Hadoop cluster. For those of you not aware of scalding and cascading, these are just abstractions to run your MapReduce jobs in Hadoop easily. And they are much more favorable for people who are used to programming in Scala. So once we go through all the different transformations on the Hadoop side, we've got a whole bunch of analysts, the business analysts, technical analysts, who are actually constantly analyzing the data, looking at things like how effective our campaigns are, which campaigns are working well, how we are doing with the advertisers, the publishers. All this stuff is done by analysts, and they have access to our databases, whether it's Hadoop or everything else, and they're quite savvy in that sense. That way, we can just keep adding analysts, and they can run reports and stuff like that. And we've got about 2,000 plus sales and ops people, operations that are going on that. So overall, we've got about 7 plus, what happened here? 7 plus petabytes, which we are managing on a day-to-day basis. And what makes it really challenging is the fact that if it was just status quo, it's fine. The thing is, we are going up in volume like crazy. And just to give you an idea of of that, I'll come to that in a bit, but I'll just go over the stack first. I just mentioned all those things as bullet points earlier. So at the very bottom, we've got Hadoop. That's where all the ingestion happens from when all the add data that comes in. So that's all in Hadoop. On top of that, we do all these transformations, which is we are now in a process of actually using Spark. We're almost there. So scalding, cascading, it's a bunch of other things that people can do, and we can even run it on Spark now. Then, once the data is transformed enough and we have some structure to it, we load that data into Vertica. So we have a big Vertica shop. So Vertica is the columnar MVP massively parallel database, and you can actually run reports off of that. So that's Hive and Vertica. We have 7 petabytes all sitting in the Hadoop side, but the actual transform data that's in Vertica, which is structured and columnar, that's about 200 terabytes right now. We have about 60 node cluster of Vertica and 200 or so analysts querying that. And then on the very top, you've got ad hoc SQL, Hive reporting, Vertica reporting. We have developed our own tool called Wizatra, which helps you analyze certain set of queries that everybody is running all the time. And that's we found is much better than Tableau, because running Tableau, I didn't run Tableau. I don't know how many of you have actually run Tableau, but it's not an easy task. And then there's a little animation here. I don't know if you saw that. We have also developed something that helps us, our workflow, all this stuff that we have described. To make it easy for people to be able to run that workflow, we have developed something like an orchestration work scheduler. We call it Linguistic. It was developed in France, that's why we have this weird sounding name. But the next version is going to be more English friendly. So this was also developed in-house, and we have found that we tried to evaluate Uzi and Airflow from Airbnb, but we just found that this was something that suits us the best, and we are planning on open sourcing that. This is just a quick graph of how many analysts we have grown. We have grown from 2010 to 2016. As you can see, that we have about 200 right now, closing into 300 pretty soon. And this is the growth of the data. So we have a double whammy here. We have analysts hitting the database, and we have the data that is growing itself. So this is, again, the same thing, but year over year, just the last 2 years compared. As you can see, we have grown from, it's kind of hard to read, but roughly double. They all sort of are correlated. Number of bytes read, records read, and the number of CPU hours that are spent in our jobs. Our analytics stack is pretty simple. As you can see, there's just 3 or 4. I mean, it's a pretty complex and big system. And we have very few moving parts. That's because it's easy to reason about. We purposely, I like this bullet point the most. We have built this shiny thing blinders on. And in order to understand that, I'm going to flip to the next slide and come back again, so everybody knows what shiny thing is. This is the shiny thing. These are all the things that are available right now in Silicon Valley. Everybody's working on something. So there are a lot of things out there. So we just need to put back to the previous slide, shiny thing blinders on. But at the same time, we make sure that we still keep an eye for the diamond in the rough sort of thing, so that we can look at any promising technologies, and we adapt it so we are on the cutting edge of our technology stack. All right, let's see the shiny things. This is just a quick slide on how we have grown in the last 5 years. The Vertica data size has gone from 12 terabytes to 150. It's more like 200. users, meaning analysts and ad hoc users who get, query or Hadoop systems via Hive or Vertica, or it's grown to about 300 reporting users, people who are generating reports both internally for our own analysis and for external customers. Like advertisers would like to know how they're doing and how their campaigns are doing. That has grown, and the number of tables, obviously, because as we add more and more information, we start to mine more and more things. That everything is growing. So this is just a quick snapshot of how fast we are growing in terms of data. And last but not least, we are extremely committed to open source, both contributing and making some of the things that we develop to be contributing back to the community. We recently added a user-defined aggregate function for doing approximate counts using the hyperlog algorithm. It's already open source. And some of you might know about this if you're following the machine learning blogs and stuff like that. The Google Cloud Machine Learning and TensorFlow, we have given our sort of flagship data, like the entire displays and clicks for them to analyze so that we can come up with better ways of analyzing clicks at large scale and being able to give nice recommendations. We also have our own little conference that we've started. It's the second year. We'll probably bring it. It's happening only in Paris. It's going to be happening here starting this year. And as I already said, we're going to open source a bunch of products going forward. So keep an eye on that. And thank you for listening. And if all this sounds fun, then that's my LinkedIn profile. If you have a smartphone, you can just scan this QR code and feel free to reach out to me. I know it's a lightning talk. I'm going to make way for our main speaker, Karthik. But in case you have any questions, I'll be around later on. So you can just come by and bug me. Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure to pass the mic. Our next speaker is Karthik Ramasamy, and he's going to talk to us about data stream processing at scale today. Karthik is the initiator of the Twitter Heron project, designed to be a successor of Thombre. He's currently a member of faculty at UC Berkeley in the EECS department. And he just started a new business, and I was a bit surprised when we discussed it earlier, because it's about real-time machine learning. And quite honestly, I don't know what that means because we are that far from it here at Criteo. So I'll be happy to discuss that later with you. But in the meantime, please welcome Karthik to the stage.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk again in Palo Alto, because last time when I did a talk in Palo Alto, a couple of years ago, I guess. But I've been commuting quite a bit to Twitter offices from all the way from South Bay to kind of going to SF. And it's nice to be not commuting because our offices are in Palo Alto as well too. Anyway, so let me open up the slides deck that I have. Should I or
sorry, can you talk?
Sorry.
Folks. What is
the slide?
You stuck?
No, I this one.
Yeah, ITV gave us a PC in Silicon Valley to do that. So obviously, how many disks does it take? Too many?
Yeah.
Always the answer.
I think it's just the blue jeans or what?
So you want to stop this screen, so we have to stop screen.
Stop routines and
Yes, we're not a company doing VC products, as you can see. Your screen.
share screen.
Share. And again, this is the first time we're doing that here, so thank you for your patience. And for attending. Right. Oh, that's going to say your.
See? It's all okay. Click also work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mic on?
Yeah, the title of my talk will be like data streaming at scale, because we have been working on streaming for a while. Twitter, when we started around 2009 or so, then because Twitter data is very natural for streaming. That's one of the reasons why we kind of started streaming or real-time related projects from very early. And we acquired a company called Backtype. How many of you know something called Backtype? So we acquired a company called Backtype, and they had an infrastructure called Storm. And that's the first thing that we open sourced in 2011, and it got on with a lot of people, and I think like around 500 to 1,000 companies are still using it, as far as we know. And so then when we looked at the Storm, and when I joined Twitter in 2013, after my company's acquisition, then we looked at it like we were doing a lot of real-time analytics at scale, and the system was not able to keep up with it. And that's one of the reasons we started conceiving new systems, and a bunch of things have gone after that. But anyway, the story goes a little bit later. So anyway, so we are in a world where real time is kind of the key. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that are driving the fact that data is arriving at a high velocity as well as in real time that needs some kind of immediate attention. And some of the data includes data from games and data from social media, and a few data from IoT related sources, so which requires attention right away. So again, this is another slide which kind of says that we are living in a real-time connected world where everything is kind of generating data in some form or the other, and that data volume is essentially increasing, ranging from connected cars to healthcare to security and even augmented and reality as well. So like why real time? I mean, within Twitter context, we used to do real time for several things. First thing is real time trending, because Twitter is known for generating a lot of data, and we wanted to see what is trending right away so that you can get the attention of the users about what is the news happening that's around the world, right? And then real time conversations during sports and other events, especially if somebody scores a touchdown, somebody kind of hit a home run. So those kind of conversations spikes up the entire Twitter, because people are saying, oh, that was a bad umpire call, or that was a nice touchdown. So people converse in Twitter itself, and millions of conversations go during these sporting events. And that time we wanted to make sure that these conversations are flowing right immediately, so that people have this notion of real-time experience, or they have the experience of conversing with each other, right? And the recent addition to that is, how many of you have watched NFL football with Twitter in last year? No, not NFL. Yeah, NFL. Not yeah, NFL. Yeah, because there was a live streaming of all the football Thursday games, but were done on Twitter, and that experience is taking TV to the next level, where you have a split screen where 3/4 or 80% of the screen is you're watching the game. The 20% of the screen is devoted to the tweets that is going about the game itself. So you can see what people are saying about the game, and you can kind of almost synchronize the video frame with whatever the real tweets that are going out of the frame. So it was pretty interesting at that point. And so then we obviously do real-time recommendations, because obviously the Twitter's monetization strategy was in using ads, and also some of the data volume business as well. So, but the ads is the main dominating revenue generator. So, which means during these real-time events like Super Bowl as well as Oscars or Grammys, so a lot of conversations going on in the Twitter's realm. And we wanted to take advantage of the context of that conversation. And based on the context of the conversation, we might want to inject appropriate ad, so that the likelihood of that ad being clicked is kind of increases. And finally, of course, we have the notion of real-time search, in the sense like the tweet that is coming in into the system, it has to be indexed such a way that quickly, so that people go to the search.twitter.com, they can pick up the relevant tweet the moment the tweet lands in, and we have a time budget of less than 200 milliseconds for that. So that's one of the reasons why we were geared towards doing real time. And now another thing that you might want to see is like the value of data. I mean, the people are generating so much data these days, but the thing is, the data's value decreases over a period of time. So as you can see, like most of the time critical decisions are done the instant the data is produced, somewhere between the close to the real time, between seconds and a few milliseconds. Then after that, the value starts going down quickly, and it kind of resorts to more traditional kind of a BI and all the things. So again, I borrowed a slide from Mike Franklin. So somebody asked if they know Mike Franklin. I just took a slide from him. So what is real time? I mean, it varies. So if I go to the people like retailers like Target and Walmart, real time for us is 1 day. On the other hand, if you go to the financial post, the real time is probably millisecond, because or even nanosecond or picosecond, right? It varies. So in our context, like this is the way we place the range of analytics and serving real time serving stuff. So like anything greater than an hour, which requires a high throughput kind of jobs, that falls into the more of a batch style of processing. And on the other extreme is the extremely low latency, which is more of the real time, and that is where financial high frequency trading and those kind of things go on. And somewhere between the two, there's notion of the near real time, 10 milliseconds per second, and somewhere in the world TP also, which is less than 500, which is more latency sensitive. But the near real time can be either approximate, and sometimes people say like we want some exact results depending upon what applications they want to. So this is the spectrum. So like we operate in this range somewhere between these three. I mean, like probably the first near real time as well as real time, but not in the less than a millisecond, but a little bit more than less than 10 milliseconds. Right? So then a lot of people like think about real time analytics into two different forms. I mean, one is called the streaming, which is analyze the data in motion. The instant it is produced and the data is flowing through some kind of data pipeline or whatever it is, then you start processing the data right away and pass on the data to the next stages. And there is a thing called interactive analysis, and that also people confuse it with real time, but we distinguish by saying the real time streaming versus real time interactive. The difference is in interactive, what you do is like you store the data, then you repeatedly query the same data again and again. And the key thing is that the response to the query, which is the results, needs to come back now, probably tens of milliseconds or few 100 milliseconds. So like one thing that one software that we use at Criteo is Presto. How many of you have heard about Presto? Okay, cool. So like we use Presto for a lot of interactive analytics. I mean, even depending upon the size of the data and how you do capacity provisioning on all the various things for Presto, you can get the results done in a few hundred milliseconds to a few seconds. Or sometimes if you're doing like big joins and other things, then it might take probably depends on minutes or probably even a few tens of minutes. So I guess it depends on the query and the size of the data that you wanted to query. So that is another type of real-time analytics. But the focus will be mostly how we do streaming. So that is where and not only the streaming part of it. In order to do streaming, there's a lot of other things that need to work in tandem before you can say that the streaming is for contributing for the entire analytics piece. So the real-time use cases, like some of the use cases, like ranges from online services, for example, even transaction logging, where the logs of a key value store in Twitter uses some kind of real-time logging service, which in turn gets replicated or stored so that when the key value store or the machine dies, that log is replayed as well. And of course, then the change propagation, where the changes are being propagated from one system to another system, all uses some kind of real-time pipeline in some fashion. Of course, streaming analytics is one aspect of it. And finally, the data for batch, which is again ETL and all the various transformations and other things that you have to do, all goes into the preparation of data for the what you call the batch itself. So the real-time stack consists of many moving parts. I mean, as I said, like the streaming is not the only piece. So you need to have what do you call it, collectors. Then after that is the messaging, then the storage and the compute aspect of it. So the data collector essentially clear the data from the point of collection to wherever it has to go somewhere. And then typically like you have some kind of a staging layer, and that's where the messaging layer comes in, where the data stays for some amount of time, like more of a transient storage or whatever it is. Then it also that data would have to go to kind of a storage like a Hadoop for long-term storage, where potentially you can do different kind of analysis or later analysis and all the various things that you will take care of. And finally, the compute aspect of it. When data is in motion, some computation has to be done on top of it in order to make sure that the data is transformed or some kind of intelligentations are being made in real time, so that it is the proactive decisions could be made right away. So that is actually the kind of the real-time stack. And there are a couple of components also in addition to this that we need, but I've left it out because it varies depending upon what you do with the real-time. One of them is the real-time data serving. For example, once you compute some kind of trending metrics and all the various things, those metrics need to be served. So which means some kind of a serving component will be involved. So it's like typically like it is either some kind of Redis like cache, or it could be some kind of a key value store, right? And also in other cases where you do want some kind of a streaming analytics kind of scenarios where you want to kind of dump the data into some place where it is queryable, similar to what you guys do with Vertica, or even sometimes you can use with the Hadoop slash Presto combination. But again, it depends on how you use the real time. So, I mean, predominantly the real time use speech patterns falls into some kind of three categories that we call. One is called the real time workflows, and which allows you to process data and hand on to the next stage, and which in turn process the data and so on until the response is constructed for this request. Then the real-time analytics, of course, that is more of analytics itself. Then there is something called real-time processing where you automate everything. You come, the data is coming, and based on some threshold like exceptions and all the various things, immediately some action is taken. So that's what we call as the real-time processing. So now I'm going to give an example of one each for some of each of these parts in the real-time stack. So I mean, at Twitter, we were using a lot of Scribe because Scribe runs on pretty much on every machine, and it just has a high throughput for clearing all the data that is coming in and probably even storing the data if the place where the destination is not available or some kind of a what you call disconnected operation. Then once if the machine is down where the Scribe is collecting data, then when it comes back up, the data is still sent out to wherever it's sent. So essentially because of its high throughput and scale, and it's guaranteed to be run on every machine. Like we have probably around 300,000 to 400,000 machines, and all of them will run Scribe of some form, so that it can be used for all kind of data collection and packaging. So that's very simple. I mean, could be a lot of different data collectors altogether, but this is what you use because of these various other reasons. Then for all the messaging and some of the storage related requirements, we have this notion of event bus and distributed log. Before I go into some of the details of event bus and distributed log, I'll give you some idea about how it looked like, the Twitter messaging used to look like before. So this is how it used to look like. We were using all kind of systems there in order to serve the data in real time. So like, for example, how many of you know about Kestrel? Okay. So Kestrel was done on Twitter because when the data volume was growing exponentially and we needed some system in order to hold the data, at least for transient activities, right? And so we couldn't find anything in the market, so we ended up writing our own system. And Kestrel is purely very simple system, like we just spray across the nodes, and each node is independent of each other, and there's no replication of any kind or whatever it is, just spray the data. And if you want to scale, just add more nodes and spray more. So it was done a very simplistic fashion to kind of take the data growth. And that was used for all kind of, real-time processing. For example, taking some of the core tweets and fan-out calculations and tweet propagations, as well as trending computations and all the various stuff. Then even Gizzard is on what is sharded MySQL kind of system where which was used for user profiling all these things that also using Kestrel. And some of the logs of the database and all were even moved via bookkeeper into some other disk so that the data is replicated across multiple systems. And similarly, Search was using MySQL, and Kafka was using in a smaller scale where for a small analytics pipeline where the Scribe used to form the data into Kafka as well as HDFS. So at some point we said like this is getting too much out of hand. So whether can we do what do you call a design a system that can take into account most of the use cases. So that's what they ended up doing it actually. So I mean this is some of the Kestrel limitations because this is what we felt in the field because its durability is hard to achieve because it just keeps the data in memory and asynchronously propagates the data into the disk. And then adding subscribers is expensive because you need to put an entry to some of the subscribers, hey, this is a new subscriber that you want. And for every subscriber, the data is replicated. For example, if you have one topic, and the topic will be replicated for every subscriber because it was storing that's the only way for it to store the state of where the particular subscriber is at any given point in time. And Twitter used to have typically have a high fan out, like probably like 200x fan out. So which means you don't want to have 200 copies of the data because 200 clients are consuming the data. So that's too expensive. So then if somebody falls behind, then it goes into some kind of random IOs and all that stuff that causes performance issues and penalizes the people or the jobs that are playing nice in the sense like they are at the top of the queue. So it scales purely, as I said, because of the fact that the number of topics increases, it doesn't scale very well now. And of course, it has some issues with the cross-speed duplication as well. So then after that, we were using Kafka in around 2007 or 8 time frame. I think not 2007, sorry, somewhere like around 2011 or 12. So it had its own set of limitations because on our scale, the Kafka just does not work because it relies purely on file system page cache for serving all the data. And so because of that, like the performance again degrades, like especially we've seen it in the field, like where if like 10 jobs are on the top of the queue and the 11th job is kind of falling behind, then the data has to be brought into the memory so that and replace the data whatever in memory and it goes into some kind of random IOs. And that means like all the 10 jobs are slowing down because of this one job. Then after that, we had too many topics because, as I said, like there's hundreds and hundreds of topics, and each topic has a huge high fan out as well. So in these cases, it didn't work very well at all. And then there's a loss of data because of the asynchronous replication of it, and there's no clear set of stats for us to monitor the hell out of it. So because we believe in a lot of what you call operational metrics, because those metrics are very good in terms of finding out where the problem is. For example, we have a small team of like 6. If somebody comes like 40, 59 teams are using our infrastructure and somebody comes just doesn't run, how do you go and debug it, right? So we need to have a lot of operational visibility to pinpoint what is really going wrong. So the amount of data that we collect in order to keep the thing up is also extremely heavy. In the sense like we have a lot of probably like collect probably like 10 terabytes to 20 terabytes just for operational aspect as well. And in fact, like this, there is no operational database system that can handle that much data that we ended up writing our own operational database as well, which is called the observability stack. So that's a different stack that we wrote to get the data into some kind of key value store that we designed for that. And then after that, you can do your own dashboarding and all the various other aspects quickly so that any metric that you collected can be injected to the observability stack and you can dashboard it quickly. Then finally, like so, this is when we thought about some kind of way to unify all these various workloads. So unified stack trade-off for different workloads, and we wanted durable rights. I mean, we don't want asynchronous replication. The moment you acknowledge to your client, you have to guarantee that the data is durable, like similar to ACID databases. And of course, we wanted to play nice with in a multi-tenancy environment because Twitter used to have all these big compute cluster that is probably around 200,000 machines, 100,000 machines on each data center. And when that cluster is being managed by a team of people, you want to take advantage of the cluster rather than, oh, I will do one data on the cluster. So multi-tenancy is very important to make it more easily manageable in terms of the cluster. Because think about the machines going down and coming back up, adding new machines to the cluster. That team is already doing it, rather than you duplicating the work. Instead, it should be given to that team itself so that you don't have to incur additional cost. Of course, the scale resources independently, depending upon, for example, as I mentioned, the read scale is pretty high. And so which means when the need for reading the data is high scale, you should be able to adjust the read accordingly. So similarly, you want to try to scale the storage also independently. Depending upon how long the data has to be stored, you want to scale the storage also independently, right? So some kind of independent way of scaling those different activities so that accordingly we can tune the system very well. And finally, of course, user manageability is one of the important stuff that we want to do as well. So finally, we just deployed a new system called a distributed log plus even bus, and that was designed more 3 years or so, then has been running in production for 3 years, and that kind of solved the problem of solve the problem of various workloads that it has to serve. And essentially, the even bus plus distributed log is one single combo system, and we have a publisher and subscriber and some kind of metadata that is stored in Zookeeper. Then that serves as a top subsystem. If you zoom inside, the thing which does the heavy lifting is called distributed log. A distributed log is based on Apache Bookkeeper, and so the Bookkeeper is essentially written for fast storage and also durable replication. So we use that Bookkeeper. On top of that, we have this write proxy and the read proxy. The write proxy essentially writes the data into a topic, and the read proxy essentially can scale out the topic or serve a lot number of topics, and you can scale the read proxy very separately. For example, I need 10 nodes of read proxy for now, then you may want it to go to 100 nodes later. So whereas the size, the number of cookies you can increase or decrease depending upon how much data that you really want to store. And so then the metadata is stored in Zookeeper, and essentially then the publisher and subscriber essentially talks to the write proxy and the read proxy. So, and by the way, if anybody wants to know more details about why Kafka work does not work, some of the several scenarios, Matteo is here. He is the one who designed the Yahoo's messaging system called Pulsar. So, Matteo, you can raise your hand if you have any questions.
Is he at Yahoo?
No, he would stream you now.
Before you change, so Apache Bookkeeper is Vinbus is implemented in terms of Apache Bookkeeper. Is that what I heard you say?
We have this. So these three things constitute what you call the Bookkeeper, the write proxy, and these things constitute the distributed log, where it is the storage is based on the notion of a log, where first in, first out kind of log is, right? The read proxy is the one that we added in order to make it more on the even bus, because I think these write proxy and the bookies are open source as distributed log project outside, but the read proxy is not, because that had a different beast on its own because of the number of topics that you have to serve and the number of fan out per topic that you have to do, right? So it was designed very differently, and that is not open source because it is using some of the Twitter internal libraries and services and all. So we are planning to write one for the open source separately.
Is Vinbus an open source thing?
Even bus is not, but distributed log is.
Mm-hmm.
So the distributed log at Twitter handles a different application, as I said. So the Manhattan key value store logs are replicated using distributed log, like similar to the transaction log, right? So we distribute it, and it also distributes the log for across data centers as well. So that is very important, because when you have these two key value stores, which are massive, that stores all the tweets and observability data, which are very important. And that is all stored in Manhattan. And Manhattan, when it does some kind of transactional commit, those logs are done into a distributed log, and that log is replicated across data centers as well in order to keep the data staying and all. When doing, especially in the presence of failures and all, we can replay the log and bring up back the machine. And of course, the durable deferred RPGs is another big application. Of course, search indexes and RPGs also use a distributed log. And finally, it's also used, PubSub is one of the messaging applications on top of distributed log as well. And of course, as I said, it's globally replicating the log continuously. And it processes a bunch of data out, so it takes around 400 terabytes data in and serves around 20 terabytes out every day. And some of the events that this process is around 2 trillion events every day, and it has very low latency around 95 to 99% is around 5 to 10 milliseconds latency. So it's pretty stable system if you want to use it. Then finally, I'm going to the compute side of things, and that's where we use Heron, which was designed from the ground up to substitute Storm. I'm not going to go into the details of the Storm issues because that will be a talk of its own. So it takes around 45 minutes to even give the talk because as far as we know, we discovered around 19 problems. I don't think even a lot of the new gaming systems have hit that problem yet. But we hit that problem much sooner than a lot of people actually. Because we were running Storm at around 3,600 nodes at that point in time. Then we just couldn't handle it. At a high level, I can give you a few things. I think I have one slide which is the design goals or something. As you see, this is kind of a little bit different. What are the design goals? So we wanted to move into more modern infrastructure. So 3 years ago, when we started designing Heron itself, we said we wanted to move more container-based and separation of monitoring and scheduling because Nimbus the Storm Nimbus was acting as several double duty where it used to serve for the UI and also serves for monitoring the cluster that the Storm manages and also scheduling if any new jobs come in or if existing job has portion of the existing job has died, then it has to be relocated somewhere else, right? So it takes, we wanted to separate the scheduling out because already a lot of schedules available in the market, like Mesos is there, Kubernetes is there, Yarn is there. So it doesn't make sense to write down one more scheduler because they have an ecosystem of their own. Let's take the best out of whatever they have. So we wanted to separate. One of the stories is in 2013 when we joined, we used to hit the Storm UI web page. It used to take 3 minutes to load the page because Nimbus was not crawling to a dead halt because it was getting the keep values from 3,600 nodes and it's not able to handle any of those things along. So people were literally frustrated at that point. And we wanted to simplify the execution model because how many of you know Storm or at least have heard of it? Okay. So how many of you know is that it uses a threaded model? Okay, so it uses a heavily threaded model, and the threaded model is not the right way to go for those kind of systems, especially if you're running user-land programs, and people can write all kind of heterogeneous code, and it can be, some people just leave some memory because they are easy passes. And when you put on X and Y together to run on a single process, it just blows up in terms of long DC process, or I'm using 2 gig of memory, I'm using 100 meg of memory. So it becomes a lot of issues. We were hit by several DC issues. We were hit by long unrecoverable parts where we have to shut down the job because you have no clue what was going on at that point in time. So we have to shut down the job and relaunching the job, and the relaunching used to take around, believe me or not, launching one job used to take around 40 to 45 minutes. Just to hit the button and submit the job, you wait for 45 minutes before the job launches. So because of the fact that Nimbus was crawling off of various other things, on top of that you have to transfer the code to Nimbus, and Nimbus has to distribute the code across several sites. And if the job is even 100 instances or 100 workers, it was just killing it. So so people literally just hit the button and go and have a coffee and come back. So that kind of that does that bad. So then of course we wanted to make it more efficient in terms of amount of resources that it uses. So finally once we moved there and we cut down our missions from 3,600 nodes to like 1,100 nodes. So that much inefficiency was going on.
Excuse me.
Yes.
When you criticize it as being heavily threaded, what's the alternative?
So the threaded, instead of a threaded model, we went to process model. So the process model buys a lot of things, isolation at all levels. So the isolation at the individual DAG component can be run on the process on its own. So that way what happens is you have the flexibility of doing a heat dump if something is wrong with it, or if you can even do performance analytics and all the various things, right? So independent of the other guys. So on the other hand, if you think about a threaded architecture where if like even 10 threads are running on it, and each one is taking memory, suddenly the memory blows up to like 10 gig, 20 gig of each process. Think about dumping that thing and it's trying to trace through what's happening with that, right? So on the other hand, with a smaller process model, the amount of footprint becomes smaller because they're running only one task inside, not running multiple tasks, right? Yes.
But you use the advantage of sharing the JVMs because we have one over JVM per process.
Mm-hmm.
So how that goes is
Yeah, so like the sharing would be an issue where, for example, the data sharing within a single thread in a single process, right? It might be quick. So what we did is once we did a fast communication layer where the data is flown, sent through one process to another process, right? So if you have a decent communication, it's not that bad.
So do you have like a custom IPC layer?
Yes.
Is it like
We use TCP for the IPC layer, but definitely we didn't use shared memory and all the various things at this point because we were, since the original system was kind of not keeping up, we were in a very fast development cycle that we need to deliver something within, I think we delivered within 6 months, we done 80% of the time. 9 months, we were done with the project itself. And after that, just migration for around 6 months. So we were in a fast path to deliver something, and performance was not the first goal. Even the code that we wrote, without even having performance in mind, we were 10x or 15x faster. Then, so we didn't even bother to optimize at that point. So let's get the whole thing done, get the correctness established, then we'll worry about the performance later. So that's what we did. And so we wrote an IPC layer, which is more of a protocol on top of TCP, with the notion of very simple packets, data packets, and the packets have some limitations for the size so that we can transfer those packets quickly. But even if we had done shared memory, then it could have been even much faster, actually. So,
or a memory map file?
Memory map file, yes. So some of the design goals were like, so fully API compatible because there are so many jobs written in the Storm API. It's not only the Storm had the low-level API, and we have the Hummingbird API as which is runs on top of that low-level API, and we can't move that entire machinery into something new API. So which means we have to have a system which is fully API compatible. Then of course, one of the other things that we did is we want to use mainstream languages because Storm was written in a functional language called Clojure, and we had a very tough time with it in terms of dealing interaction with Clojure, and then the tools were not available, and very difficult to debug anything. So we had a lot of issues with that. So that's why we decided as a design, okay, we are sticking to the main languages. And of course, some kind of a small batching was introduced because we wanted a system where you can optimize for throughput or latency, and you don't want the system to constrain that job, so that whenever you write a job, you have the option as a developer, hey, I want a latency sensitive job or a throughput sensitive job. So you should be able to configure the system enough so that the system can take multiple different jobs simultaneously, which is a blend of workload of latency sensitive and throughput jobs. So that way, this one gives that factor. So you can tune it.
Is that dynamic? Is that dynamic?
Dynamic mean?
During the
No, you set it at the configuration level. On the configuration at the job level, you can set it such a way that if you want one tuple at a time, you can do it. So, whereas on the other hand, if you have multiple tuples before it sends out, then you can do that as well. So that way, it's not a system-wide configuration; it's a per job configuration. And the third one is isolation. As I said, the key thing is we moved from threaded architecture to process architecture because we wanted isolation at the individual task level. Then we use the container to get isolation between containers as well. Right? When multiple jobs and the containers are running on a single node, we don't want one container's job stripping into the other container's job because we were burnt by it when we were running Storm because doing Super Bowls and all the jobs will start using a lot of load because the trees have gone up like 3x, 5x in terms of the amount of data that you have processed, right? And because of the fact that everybody was running without any constraint checks, boom, like somebody will go down and we have no idea. That guy might be okay, but the other guy who's taking more CPU push that guy out and saying that, okay, you quit. So we used to have all these kind of problems. So because of that only, we said like we will use containers and make C group kind of containers and make sure the operating system enforces that whatever the resources that the container has does not exceed that. Then of course we wanted to support for back pressure. I mean, back pressure was one of the important things because one time what we did was we have an ad system which allows you to interact with the partners in real time so that they can measure how the ads are performing and based on the portfolio of ads that you have issued during the, for example, the Super Bowl or whatever it is, then you can say that I want to put more money behind the performing ad versus a non-performing ad. So you can dynamically change those campaigns. And because of that, like at one point when the data was given to the partners was there was 3x to 4x inaccuracy was there. And we didn't know that because we were just kind of getting the results of what all the Storm does and giving to partners. And partners came back and it's very grossly inaccurate and it was not right one. So then we sat down and investigated for like a month or like few weeks, I think. And finally we found out that Storm was dropping tuples somewhere in the intermediate stages. And then we dug into the code and found out that if the receiver is not able to receive data at the space that sender is sending, the sender just drops the tuple. So that became an issue. So then he said like, because of that fact, like if one guy is not able to absorb the data at the rate at which you want to send, we slow it down. So that's why the need for back pressure came out, so that everybody goes at the pace of the slowest guy. Then finally, of course, efficiency is another important one. We wanted to save money. So like finally, like, so then we said that of course these all properties were there. Oh, further down. I'm not used to this. Yeah, so like, of course, it provides a guaranteed message passing. I mean, we started with at least once at most once, because that's what Storm was supporting. Since our goal is to finish moving existing jobs, so we focused on those semantics. Now we have finished exactly once, and it's almost going into the open source master probably in a couple of weeks. And already some PRs have been in the process of being merged. And of course, we have a lot of scalability because one of the things that we did was like, we were running on a multi-tenant cluster. So in the sense like remember the big compute cluster that I mentioned about. So Heron also runs along with that cluster, along with other jobs, critical jobs like pre-serving jobs, which are even more of a sub-zero kind of jobs. And we run alongside those critical jobs. And so which means that allowed room to expand the jobs whenever you want to, so that if some load increases, we can do some kind of scaling, or probably before you can even say that, hey, in a couple of hours, Oscar is going to start. So I will hit the button where I wanted to increase some of the processing capacity for those jobs. We can hit it automatically, the job expands, and then once the Oscar is done, then we can go back to whatever the original resource requirements were. So those kind of things we were able to do. That way we were able to scale very easily whenever we want to. And of course, robust fault tolerance, all the process tests, machine tests, and everything requires restoring. Everything is taken care of automatically. Then concisely, we wanted to support the Storm API so that people don't want to write all kind of plumbing stuff in terms of communications and all those various other aspects. So then So just to give a high-level overview, your job in general is called a topology, and that in turn consists of spouts and bowls. Spouts are essentially data ingesting into the DAG, which can take any type of sources like Digital, Log, or even Kafka, Kestrel, MySQL, Postgres, wherever the data is available. The bowls are essentially nothing but processing elements. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us about how you do exactly one?
So exactly one, if you want to go into detail, that's a big talk, yes, by itself. But at a high level, what I'll give is like the optimistic approaches, pessimistic approaches, right? The optimistic approaches, you assume that the failures are rare. I will blast as fast as I can, and then I will take some kind of a synchronous checkpoint, asynchronous checkpoints. Then whenever something happens, I'll penalize the amount of time it takes to recover from that point where it failed, right? So what happens in the sense, like for example, in the optimistic approach, so each operator in the DAG will checkpoint whenever some kind of a checkpoint tuple goes in, right? And once that tuple is received, then the state is checkpointed and given to some kind of a stable storage, and then the processing keeps continuing. So the checkpoint thing is just like some kind of a memory swap, where if this is the memory that I wanted to store the snapshot in, just take this memory and I will start a new memory, something like that, right? So it's as fast as the data flow itself, right? So that way, like that is the optimistic this thing. But the optimistic will not work at a very large scale, because especially when the jobs are like probably running on 200, 300 containers, or sorry, 700, 800 containers, because the chance of failure of a container is pretty high when you run at that scale, right? So then you have to resort to some kind of pessimistic approach, where in the pessimistic approach, when you receive the data, you have to kind of store it before you consume it. And similarly, when you send the data out from your one of the DAG nodes, you have to kind of store it before you send it. So that the idea is each operator should recover itself, has enough data to recover itself without bothering like the others. I mean, in the pessimistic approach, we need to talk to the one guy who is a predecessor and the other guy who is a successor. But other than that, it can operate independently. But because of this notion of storage of every tuple that you receive and every tuple that you have to send it out, the latency goes up high. So that's why I have this hypothesis where volume, velocity, and truthfulness, accurateness, you can get 2 out of the 3, but getting all 3 is extremely hard. I don't know, have you heard this theorem before? It's not a theorem, it's not proved yet, but this is a hypothesis.
It's a variation of the CAP.
Yeah, it's a variation of the CAP theorem, but if I can map the CAP theorem, then yes, if you can prove it if you map the CAP theorem, you can prove it, but yes. So when you go into pessimistic approach, the latency increases depending upon how deep the DAG is at any given point in time. So does it answer the question? I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail, but yes. So this is the kind of Heron DAG where you have this couple of spouts when they have a set of bowls which is feeding from the spout. Then you have next set of bowls that are further feeding into the output of the bowls. So there is no limitation in number of stages that you can write. So we have jobs that have 10 or 15 stages as well. It has this notion of shuffle grouping, which tracks the data from the spout or bowl to random downstream bowls, or it could be based on more the hash partitioning of the data. Similarly, you can do all grouping also, where everybody features to one grouping. And finally, you have the global grouping, where all grouping is data is replicated across everybody. On the other hand, the global grouping essentially takes the data and gives to only one guy. But most of the time, you shuffle and fuse combination. So the high level, as I mentioned, we got away from the scheduler because the schedulers are quite a few of them up there. We just want to piggyback. So one of the ways we designed Heron was it's very modular. In the sense the big data ecosystem continuously keeps changing something or other. Like, a new scheduler is coming up, new storage is coming up, and then new key value storage is coming up. So all these things come and go. So how do you survive in an environment? We don't want to write a new system again and again because it's a lot of effort, and the chance of project failure is high too as well. So we made it modular enough that we have abstraction all over the place. So we can move Heron to a new scheduler if you want to. Similarly, if you wanted to have a new type of zookeeper, what we call as a state manager, you can map that into new different state managers. So today we have a zookeeper mapping as well as local file system. We can write an HCD mapping as well. So that way it makes it easier. And similarly, the storage, if you wanted to do the storage, yeah, we can do Hadoop, and we can even do distributed log. So that way, like what happens is the code is very stable, and just you write it into different systems, whatever you want to, then the code doesn't change. So the same thing we did for scheduler also. So it means you can run on any scheduler as long as you have the scheduler bindings down. So today it runs on Yarn as well as Meso/Marathon, Meso/Aurora, and they also run on Slurm. And some guys have done for Kubernetes as well. So actually, like, pretty much, each one takes, if you know the code, it just takes 2 weeks to 3 weeks to get it run on a new scheduler, and you'll be ready to go. So since the Heron job looks like yet another job for a scheduler, and you just submit the job to the scheduler, automatically it schedules all the jobs, and doing a fine-grained resource sharing. And the topology essentially requires, hey, I need this many containers. I need, like, say, 100 containers, and each container should be of the size like 5 to 6 cores, and I need around 10 GB of memory per container, and this is how much disk space also I need. So these are the three these things that you can control on the container. Then scheduler accordingly honors that values, and finds the space on the cluster itself. Then if you go down to a little bit lower level, how it looks like. So you have this notion of a master container, which is called the container 0. The container 0 is the one that coordinates the entire other processing containers. So we call that as a control container, a master container. So there is something called a topology master. I remember, like, in Storm and all, Nimbus used to be the single point where every topology is reporting in some form or other. So when Nimbus goes down, everybody is affected. In this case, like, each topology is completely isolated itself. If you are down, you are not going to pull down the other guys as well. So that way, what happens is it's isolation at all levels. Remember, as I was mentioning, like that isolation at the individual task level, then isolation at the container level, and even isolation at the topology level, so that you don't trample into anybody else. So the topology master comes up and looks at how much resources that he needs, and talk to the scheduler saying that, hey, I need this many containers of each size this much, and go and fork off these containers. So the scheduler will fork off those containers, and within each container, one of the first process that comes up is what we call a stream manager, and so that process tries to find where is my master at any given point in time. So the way it locates the master is by looking at the zookeeper. So each topology master, when they come up, they write where their location and the host is into one of the nodes in the zookeeper based on the topology name and ID. And these guys, when they receive that ID, they go and look up the zookeeper, and then they know where to contact the master. So once they contact the master, since the master knows how many containers have to be up, once everybody kind of reaches, everybody says hello or okay or whatever it is, the topology master kind of constitutes what we call a physical plan, because ultimately the data exchange has to happen between these data containers, right? So they have to discover each other in some form. And so that's what the physical plan does, because the topology master knows everybody what port and host they are listening on. Then we constitute a physical plan, and that physical plan is saved for backup into the zookeeper cluster. Then it kind of broadcasts the physical plan to all the containers underneath. So once it goes to all the containers underneath, then everybody knows how to contact other containers. Then they form a fully connected graph so that the data exchange can start happening. So now what happens in the case master container fails? Master container fails, nothing is affected essentially, because the data containers don't even depend on it. So the only thing, when the master container dies, still everything is going fine, and the scheduler will reschedule the master container somewhere else. Now, when the master container comes back up, since the state is available already on Zookeeper about where everything is running and all, so it will rediscover its state and just sitting idle there. That's it. So the only thing that goes is, like, there are some some keep alives that go from the stream manager to the topology master that indicates whether a particular container is live or not. So that the topology master, there are some key network partitioning challenges which I'm not going to go into that because again that's a completely another talk on its own. So like the stream manager essentially serves as a container liveliness or whatever you want to call it. So finally, each component of the DAG will be running as a process. Remember, we are a process-based system, right? So everything is a process. Stream manager is a process, metrics manager is a process, and metrics manager essentially collects hundreds and hundreds of metrics which you need to monitor the job. Because as I said, the operation of the job is very important to find out what is going wrong so that we can hone in on these issues and immediately able to recover from the issue quickly. So the I1 and I2, I4 essentially are running this process where each spout or each board and the corresponding instances are running on those processes essentially. So then how do the I1 and I2 essentially exchange data? They just go back, I1 goes to the stream manager and bounces back to I2. And if the data has to go across containers, it goes to via stream manager of one of the containers, and goes out of the container and comes back into the container into the stream manager, then gets out into the appropriate instances. So essentially, like you can think about stream manager as a kind of data router at any given point in time. Any other questions on this before I go further? Yes.
Zookeeper, is containers dependent on Zookeeper? What if it goes down?
So Zookeeper is something like we always need to keep it up, but the containers per se, they don't depend on Zookeeper except whenever a change in the physical plan occurs. For example, if one of this container dies, let us say, I mean, I talked about the master container dead, but the data container also can die. So when the data container dies, the other data containers are buffering the data, whatever is supposed to send to the guy who died. The scheduler will identify quickly that this container has died, will fork up on the container, and that container will start, and then report to the topology master. Now, topology master, it has the physical plan, right? Now there's a change in the physical plan because this guy has moved on to some other guy, right? So then the new physical plan will be formed. Again, the broadcast will occur again. So at that point, all the other guys will know that the new container has come up in those new nodes. Then everybody will start exchanging and dumping the data at that time. So now there are challenges there also. For example, sometimes what happens is if there is a network partitioning between the scheduler and the container, and the scheduler is not receiving the keep alive, he thinks the container is dead, so it forks up on the container, and two containers are staying on the same time. So what do you do? So these are all some of the issues that we face. So we decide to keep the old container, not let the new container. And that had its own kind of issues because sometimes the machine is supposed to be want to be shut down, and the scheduler thinks it is going to be shut down. And again, I'm pointing out this container, but the old container is still giving people lives, saying that, so which one will you choose? So the stream manager essentially handles the back pressure also, and to give us some idea about the complexity of the back pressure algorithm, let's take this simple linear topology, and this how the realization in physical world. So this is the way it looks like when it runs on the containers. You have these four containers, and some of the instances of the spout and bowls are within each container. And then the moment one of the container, what do you call, has a, let me go back to it.
Is back pressure like user definable, or is it like part of the system? I mean, how do you determine?
So it is it's a part of the system, and the definition of back pressure could be altered through context. Like for example, like what do you call when you think that the back pressure should be initiated. For example, that the data is kind of overflowing beyond 100 MB or 200 MB, that you can configure. When to initiate back pressure, when to relieve back pressure, that you can configure.
Is it by number of tuples per second?
No, it could be most on the size of the data. So because we have buffers in terms of the bytes, right?
Sure.
So that because if you based on number of tuples, then some people might send like 100K tuples or even 1 MB tuple are very common, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we measure in terms of bytes. So let's see. So one of the instance like both B1 or B2, one of them goes into some kind of a back pressure. So let's say the board B2 is on the upper left container is going into back pressure. The steam manager will detect that because steam manager is trying to push the data to the guide and is not able to push as fast as it is receiving data, right, for the guide. So because of that, what happens is that steam manager thinks that there is a back pressure issue, then it will, so it has to initiate back pressure. Then the steam manager will send the back pressure message to broadcast message to everybody saying, hey, by the way, I'm going to go into back pressure. So as an action, what happens is every steam manager looks into the physical plant and finds out who are the spouts in my container. Because if you look at it, the spouts are the source of data into the whole container itself. So then if you clamp down on the spout and not to emit more data into the topology, then that gives the illusion of slowing down the topology. So that's the way we slow down things. And so that seems to work well in practice for us. So essentially we call that a spout-based back pressure actually. So this slide essentially gives an idea about how the whole thing works. Let me show you the spout back pressure. Yeah, so as I said, if the P2 is going slow, then the broadcast message will send everybody. And once the broadcast message is received, then everybody clamps down on the spout saying that, hey, by the way, spout, I'm not going to take any data anymore. So now if the spout is not able to push data, we are using TCP sockets between spout and stream manager, that TCP window will close, and then the spout will not take the data from the source, wherever that source is, right? So it will nicely show up as a lag on the source itself. So even if anywhere in the DAG, one of the nodes is going slow, everybody will push it down until you start seeing the lag on your input data source being the distributed log, right? So we can measure how much the lag in the top of the queue where the processing is occurring versus where the data is arriving at any given point. If the lag starts increasing, then you know your input rate and the processing rate are not matched at any given point, right? So this is spout-based back pressure. I mean, there are various other cases that we discussed about TCP-based back pressure, then stage-wise back pressure, but those did not work very well. It can go to, how many of you know about count infinity problem, where the throughput will go down to zero, essentially. So that's what the problem we implemented something called a TCP back pressure. Instead of writing our own back pressure algorithm, use the TCP algorithm itself, because they already have this notion of nice windows and send window, receive window, and the sender and receiver access to trace of each one of them. And we found out that because of the fact the underlying physical channel, which is actually a TCP socket, and multiple logical channels are going on the physical channel, and one of the channels induces back pressure, then you're shutting down every logical channel. That becomes a count-infinity problem. So that's why we know. I mean, you can theoretically prove that as well. Anyway, so that is the back pressure story, but I can go into again back pressure, all these variants and what are the trade-offs and all the things. That's a topic on its own. Some of the Heron use cases were like around 49 teams are running Heron actually, so that ranges anywhere from real-time ETL to real-time some kind of ML trends and spams and what do you call that, product abuse, fake accounts, all kinds of applications are on top of it. So this gives you some kind of a sample topologies. I mean, there are, as you can see, simple graphs to disconnected graphs to complex ones. So we run all kind of stuff. And even at high scale, like 700, 800 containers are common out there. So,
does one topology favor one application or one application?
Each topology is an application on its own.
But there isn't like a specific topology that's characteristic of a specific application. Like if you just saw the topology, would you know what was running? That's what I'm wondering.
No, we don't know the application because there's a team that knows what is the logic on the topology, right? And they are the ones who write the logic and they launch the topology. Now the thing is, we have to make sure that the platform per se is operates nicely and also provides enough hooks for them so that they can do some kind of a self-serve in the sense like if there are any, if you download Heron and install it and all, so the amount of troubleshooting that we have done so far, for example, you think about an 800 container job, something is going wrong, we have no idea what's going wrong, right? We have all the metrics. Sometimes the metrics also so much deluge, like if there are like around 300 graphs, how do you pinpoint the graph itself, right? So that becomes another issue as well. So instead, what we do is like we have this rule-based network system inside, which is continuously munging all these metrics data to figure out where the trouble is coming as well. Then it will the UI, it will highlight it as red, hey, there is some issue here. When you click on it, you even go to the point what container and what process in the container caused the redness, everything. So that way, like then if you hover over it, you can say, hey, you exceeded this threshold of GC by more than 5 minutes. Something so because of the fact, because we have to get to the issues quickly, right? So it was done, those kind of things are all operational aspects are done cleanly enough so that people can look at the problem by themselves rather than coming to our 6-person team saying that, hey, my job is not running. We are also go and dig through the graphs and everything, right? So, officially, like, I just more than 3 years now. So that is like topology varies from, and then finally one of the big reduction, as I said, is 3x reduction in cost. Like that was a huge amount of savings in terms of machines and memory and all the various things. This is some of the performance numbers. So this is a very recent one that we did. Remember I was mentioning that when we wrote Heron, our goal was to get the correctness done and get everybody moved into a better system rather than being with the old system. Now, in the last year, we took backseat saying that, hey, let's see how fast we can push the system. And so we were able to, just to doing some few simple low-hanging fruits, we were able to, this is the experiments and other things that we did. So in the almost one case, we were able to push it up another 5 to 6x. This was the first number was the number that was published in the paper, which was written in 2015. And the master is the one that currently the code has. Can do around 11 billion tuples easily. On 200 this thing. And similarly, even the CPU usage, there's a small increase in CPU usage because we found out that we are pushing the CPUs so much because the spouts and other things which are emitting data, they wanted more CPU because I'm taking more data. So there's a small increase in CPU usage, but the amount of gain that you get performance is so much, the cost of CPU versus performance is much lower that way.
So does the CPU start throttling that?
CPU start throttling in the sense does it push back?
Thermal?
What is it?
Thermal issue?
I don't know. You have to, because we don't have the machine sit in front of us, right? So we don't know how it's throttling as much as we can. So, and then, so that is somewhere around the 566x. This is again the amount of tuples throughput per core. So that is another one. Then I didn't want to show the latency numbers. The latency numbers also we were around another 50% or 60% down. So we were around 13 milliseconds right now. And some folks at Indiana University moved the Heron to run on top of InfiniBand, and we were able to hit around 6 milliseconds. So that's 50% another reduction because of the TCP and all the various protocols related for it, right? So this is again around 400 real-time jobs keep running every day. And some of the jobs run for even 6 months. And another thing is, as a team, we keep delivering different versions of Heron every month or every couple of months. And they can choose whatever the version that they want to run it on. Because that way, multiple versions are in effect at any given time. So then if we are going to do a incompatible change across version, then we just announce. But that doesn't mean that you have to move the job right away. So, yes.
Is this topology or nodes?
Which one?
Is this topology or nodes? Are you talking about the full path through the system or just one?
No. Each topology can choose what version of Heron they are.
No, the latency.
Oh, latency for the each stage, not each stage, the end-to-end latency of topology, right? Okay. Can vary somewhere from 25 to 50 milliseconds depending upon the number of stages, right? So So this is a little bit older number. Now we cut it down by 50%. That's why I said 13 milliseconds, right? So now the new system is just got into production, and I think we are almost around 30-40% of the old, all the jobs have moved to the new one now. And but so which means like they have to do some kind of retuning at this point. So which before they can see the increase in performance and everything, right? Otherwise, you are reducing resources, but the amount of CPU that you use versus what you provision might be too high. So, and people do a little bit of 3x provisioning because Twitter is known for spikes. So suddenly spike will occur. Some event might happen, like you've done like the revolutions and all the things happen, right? So it just starts suddenly somewhere else, and after that, and we should kind of provision for some kind of a spike. But if you can handle the spikes, the little bit less resources, that overall provisioning can come down as well too. So the tying it together, the entire pipeline will look like this. I mean, a lot of people have criticized Lambda quite a bit, but we still do Lambda. I mean, I will come to the fact that there are some issues, but Lambda is still necessary. A lot of people say, no, you don't need to have Lambda at all. But that is another topic I'm happy to discuss after the talk. So I mean, we do Lambda, one for the real time and one for the batch. Then the good is basically like it allows you to different pipelines. You can do the collection pipeline. The thing that you've seen is the collection pipeline can go down. I mean, the Scribe when one machine is down for some reason or that machine is out of date and the whole rack is out. And I've seen failures where there's a multi-rack outage. No. So now at the time the data does not come on time. There's no predictability in when that data is going to arrive for that, right? So with Lambda, one of the things is it clearly distinguishes the pipeline, the collection pipeline, and the compute pipeline. And each of those pipelines has the different characteristics. Even if one of the pipelines comes a little bit late or whatever it is, Lambda can fix that and see inconsistency eventually. So on the other hand, if you have only Kafka kind of architecture where you do this exactly once, the amount of resources that you use is also very high. And also, like when the late data and all things come at you, then you would expand the job. Now, what happens in the case when you have fixed an amount of resources and everybody's expanding, right? You can't give everybody the resources that you would like to give. So there's a bunch of sticky issues. That's why we still like Lambda for the good properties that it has. Of course, there are some things which are bad, which is you have to handle, write everything twice, or to run on two different systems so that one is coming off the other. And there are subtle differences in semantics that you see between the two systems, and a lot of tough cases required. So we have solved some of the problems already. I mean, I don't know whether you know Hummingbird. Hummingbird already allows you to internally to generate job one for MapReduce as well as calling or directly to Heron Topology so that it knows understands the characteristics of each of the system so that and it also monitors both the jobs that is launched in one shot. And then after that, it writes the online results, which is the real-time results into a key-value store. And the batch, all the results also return another key-value store. And the key-value store data is kind of merged during serving phase so the clients get accurate value. So what happens is like, so this pipeline, the top pipeline continuously runs. The bottom pipeline periodically runs. In the sense like every 3 hours or depending upon when our failure occurs or whatever. You don't have to do that. It's automatic. Once it does that, then the errors that were introduced because the data did not come on time and all the various stuff can be fixed eventually so that the client gets correct answer if the window of data, whatever they're looking at is few hours. Or if it is beyond few hours, probably the accuracy will be fixed for later inspection, but the window of real-time liveliness might not be there. That's it. If you want learning more, these are the 4 papers that have been published. And the strict one got the issued log. That's another paper that is published in ICDE. This is the new paper that recently got accepted that is going to take him into a completely different plane now. So that is will be coming out on VLGB 2017, which is September, October. That's it. Everything is open source. So you're welcome to try it out. and you can follow the Twitter handle where we post a lot of things that are coming in. Your distributed log is open source as well. And then finally, yes. So yes, that's all. Any questions? Yes.
The financial industry has pub-subs that support transactions.
What was it?
The financial industry, they have pub-subs that support transactions because they need it. Do you have any plans to support transactions at the pub-sub?
So, transaction support is not hard to add, except that it just needs work. So, transaction also reduces our speed because of the forcing of the logs and everything. So it's always a challenge, like what kind of consistency levels that you want to provide, right? So one of the things you can think about is like the databases provide different consistency levels, right? Consistency 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Kind of R4 being the asset level, right? So supporting that kind of consistent levels will be good so that you can, as a developer, you can pick what consistency levels you want. Because not all of them are meaning. For example, for a trending application, I can survive with the loss of data, which is fine, right? Similarly, for a machine learning application, model is very important because you build the model over looking at the data for a long time. You don't want to lose the data. Instead, you can lose the data, but not the state, essentially, right? So different consistency levels require different things. So we will support that eventually, I think, but not in plans yet, but eventually we will. Yes.
On one of your slides, you mentioned like Twitter, every day you have a 500 terabyte data in.
400 terabyte data in.
Yeah, but the output is like 20 petabytes.
That is because a lot of jobs which are taking the data out of that 400 terabyte, because remember the fan out that I was talking about, right? The fan out of because the same data is being used by several jobs, right? So which means you have to serve that data repeatedly again and again so much. That is why the fan out occurs. That's why the 220 terabytes occurs. So even though 400 terabytes in, but the amount of data that is going out of the system is 20 petabytes. Because multiple jobs are, I want the same data again and again. So.
Yeah, I have a question. How to provision correctly for back pressure? Because and exactly once, because you told us that you save state on disk between each node.
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you have to provision for the topology?
So the back pressure, if the back pressure occurs, then there is something similar, so there are three issues that back pressure can occur on. One is you are on a bad host because one of the scheduler nodes that you're running on is working, but not at the speed that it's supposed to do. So it has gone back, but it might be an impending failure of that node, so it might be scheduled into that node. The second one is there could be some kind of a queue in the data itself, like an execution queue where a lot of keys are going in there, and you have to find a way to kind of how to avoid that, right? Or how to dynamically either change the topology, or we have to do some kind of map site aggregation kind of thing before you do that. So introduce an artificially one state into that, right? And the third one is like you've not done a proper provisioning. So provisioning is always a challenge actually, because the way we do provisioning is today, like we run the job and we take the data, and since we have all the metrics, see how much CPU is using and all the various things, do an iteratively in a manual fashion, right? And then after that, at some point, it will settle down. Then once it settles down, then you do a double or 3x of that data because of your spikes and everything, right? Then you let it go. So that takes anywhere a week to a week and a half, or probably even 2 weeks to get to an optimal thing. So one of the things is, remember, like the last paper that I mentioned, right? So where we are taking to a level where you just don't even have to bother it. Just launch it off and forget it. It will figure out itself, and finally it will settle down to steady state. So now again, there is a conservative approach and aggressive approach on that. The conservative is slowly increase the resources until you reach the steady state. Aggressively just go up and then scale it down, right? So because if it takes like an hour to settle down to a state, I want to know whether the person who is launching the job, hey, I want to know whether the job is running fine or not, right? If it takes an hour to know that, right, then the conservative approach does not work very well on that.
Yes, but resources are limited, so
resources are limited doesn't mean that we go with infinite amount of resources, because typically if we have some kind of what we call statistics about the data stores and all the various things, you have some idea that this is probably the starting point, right? I mean, because I don't know that you know, like in databases, we used to have this notion of statistics. For every table, there is a statistics about how many attributes, how many distinct values on a particular column is occurring, so that when a query planning occurs, you look at the query and say, hey, this one will require an index scan versus a sequential scan, right? Based on, if it is less than 1% of the selectivity, then you go to the index. Or if it's more than, then you are better off doing a sequential scan, right? So similarly, if you have some kind of a statistics for the each of data sources that you're consuming on, because ultimately the number of data sources is finite within an enterprise, right? So if you know that some kind of statistic, you can guesstimate it, then from that point you digest yourself. So that is what that other paper was mentioning about. Yes.
How many new clients or jobs do you take on over like a week?
We don't do anything like it's because if you are one of the teams, you want to launch a job, you're on your own, unless you have any questions for us, because there is your team has a role, and that role buys you capacity to that big cluster, the compute cluster, and as long as you are within the constraint, you can launch any job inside that. When you go over that, then you get special permission in terms of, hey, I want to increase in capacity and all the stuff, right? Because this is just yet another job for us. It's not like requires a special cluster or whatever, right? It's running as yet another job on an existing cluster. So you can run as many jobs as you want, take down, add more, do whatever you want with it, within your constraint of your capacity.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it was asking about that you said it might take a few hours to figure out.
Oh, that is like only one job. So when you do when you run one job, if you have to tune the job, because that takes a week or week and a half. But that's a one-time tuning. Once you've done one-time tuning, then you use the same thing for pre-launching the job or upgrading and all the areas.
And so how often would that occur?
So that depends on the control of upgrading in other jobs occurs if there's a change in other. For example, say we detected a case in page count that we want to add right away, then you pre-launch it, right? That's up to the team's frequency, how fast they do it, right? On the other hand, typically people start the jobs every 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. But even though some jobs have been running for 3 months and 6 months, we have been going and hey, you're in a very lower version, please upgrade, you know. So, but again, it depends on the team. So the thing is the initial tuning, we want to make it very user friendly, and that's why we wanted to say you can, as a developer, you want to get your job done quickly rather than understanding the underlying platform tuning and all the various stuff, right? We just write the job and launch it. We'll figure out all the stuff for you. So ultimately we can call it fire and forget the jobs. So any changing condition will change itself until you go and relaunch it. Any other question? Yes.
How do you upgrade your topology? Do you start everything on the semi topology?
So it depends. You can shut down it and just restart it if you want to. So now with the stateful approach, what you can do is when you shut it down, the checkpoints are there. So then when you relaunch it, say that this is a checkpoint file from where I wanted to go back, we'll do that.
More questions for Karthik?
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Karthik, for being with us tonight and offering your night and giving this great presentation. We still have some food and some beverages back in the kitchen, so we invite you to join us there and get to ask more questions to Neil, Karthik, or anyone attending tonight. Thank you very much.